This is Will.
And this is Eugene.
And you're watching
The Brotherhood of Gaming.com.
Movie review time. Okay, so...
Tis the season.
Tis the season. October is in the air, which means it's scary movie time. Ooh! Ooh!
Go ahead.
Yeah, we just got through watching The Curse of Chucky.
I think we come at this from two different sides. I was never a real big Chucky fan.
I was pro Chucky.
You were more pro Chucky. I actually became more of a Chucky fan. I knew of Chucky. I wasn't allowed to watch.
Who didn't?
The movie. Yeah, but I became more of a fan of his through a football coach. There was a. Hear me out.
I'm interested in hearing this story.
There was a head football coach named John Gruden. He's now an announcer who does work on Monday Night Football, and he used to coach the Oakland Raiders. And when he coached them, he was a young guy, like in his mid-30s, and he had red hair. And whenever he got angry, he would make a squirchy little face, and because of that, the Oakland fans nicknamed him Chucky. And what was funny is that at Oakland Raider games, which is usually like, if you ever gone to an Oakland Raider game, it's usually Halloween there every day. You see people in costumes and stuff. They would have these Chucky dolls dressed up like in Oakland Raider uniforms. And so, and it just stuck, and that became John Gruden's nickname, Chucky, because he just had this, like I say, he had this pale face and red hair, and he just made this look on his face, like people just started calling Chucky, and it just stuck. So,
where was I this sports season?
For like a recap, give a small recap of the first three Child's Play films. And
did you watch the first three?
I watched the first three. But give your your sister more the Chucky fan. What was about the first three that drew you to them?
Okay.
So much?
Okay. Well, I was introduced to Chucky at a very young age because when I was young, my dad he always had work. Like, he's an entertainer. He's in music. Like, that's our family legacy. Mm-hmm. Is our family's always in music. So he was out doing gigs, bands, and that sort of thing, and making that money. And my mom was probably going with him and watching him and supporting, which usually meant that I was either being babysat or something, or I was doing something else. Mm. And of course, the people who I was always hanging out with or was being babysat by at that time, long ago, were into horror movies. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I haven't really seen much of horror movies. Like, I wasn't really aware of the whole scary movie scene. Like, I was all about the action-packed Batman.
Well, our family, especially our parents and our aunts and uncles, were always into the horror movies, but they were really more into the Universal monster films.
Oh yeah, so yeah, our dads
they weren't really too much into the 80s slasher films.
Like, yeah, my dad still tells stories today about how our grandpa and them always used to gather around, and they would watch like Bela Lugosi's Dracula and Frankenstein's monster, and how Frankenstein's monster was like the scariest thing back then. Like,
well, yeah, for them it was.
Well, yeah, back then it was. I mean, today they acknowledge that it's pretty cartoony by today's standards. But
another story: my mother's mother, my grandmother, when she was young, she worked at Universal Studios.
Oh, clever.
She gave out the paychecks to the actors, and she met people like Lon Chaney. She met Boris Karloff.
Well, Lon Chaney Jr. I meant.
Lon Chaney Jr.
Yeah, because Lon Chaney died like in the 40s.
Yeah, well, the Wolfman. Lon Chaney Jr. Boris Karloff. So she met those people. She was the one that would give them their paychecks, and so she also had these great pictures. She has this great picture that she kept of Lon Chaney Jr. being dressed up in the Wolfman costume. So yeah, so the Universal monsters have always kind of had a big influence on our
yeah, so I love those old classics.
Me
like
too.
I love classic horror.
Oh yeah,
so
you can't go wrong with the
good movies are good movies. So
yeah, then you go into the 80s, and that's when you got into the more the slasher, the Michael Myers.
It pretty much started. It started with the 70s. Like, they wanted to. The 70s kind of pushed how gory they could get.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, those types of films.
Yeah, they kind of just wanted to, like, it was more or less independent.
Even though those films really weren't that bloody, if you actually sit back and watch them, but
Not Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
Right.
no, but there were independent, more, not so much Universal, but like you'd probably see documentaries on it. Like they really pushed to see, okay, how much blood, how much gore can we get into into a film.
When you talk about those exploitation kind of films.
Yeah, during the 17s, it was pretty much a
things.
gore fest. Like, how much gore could we actually get into this?
Mm-hmm.
80s was more focused on slasher and rebirth of a fear, a very real fear.
Each of them had kind of like their own separate gimmick. You had Freddy, who was the king of nightmares, and you had Jason, who was just like this unstoppable zombie.
Yeah, they preyed on a more real fear, whereas, of course, Freddy's a bit far-fetched, but the real fear in being that you could be a babysitter, babysitting kids by yourself at night, and there could be a stalker out there that could very realistically come at you and want to kill you for no good reason. That realistically can and does happen. So yeah, it was that sort of fear that they wanted to prey into people, and slasher was just the type of film that it became.
Then you got into Child's Play, which kind of took it to another level, where it's coming from a doll, and where
Inspired by Twilight Zone.
yeah, oh yeah, that.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that. I was watching that. They have the Twilight Zone on Twilight Zone marathon on the Sci-Fi Channel every 4th of July and New Year's, and on 4th of July I saw that episode.
Talking Tina.
Talking Tina, I don't like you. And there was also speaking of dolls, I always think of the one from Poltergeist.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, remember that one?
I didn't think about it.
Another real good horror.
Okay, so yeah, back on track. I was introduced to horror at a very young age, even though I kind of wasn't supposed to be. Yeah, my cousin, my much older cousin. I guess the first horror character I was ever introduced to was Freddy Krueger, and it was Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, The Dream Warriors.
Which is why Freddy is always so
Freddy. That's why I'm like so pro Freddy. Like when it was Freddy versus Jason, I was like, Freddy better kick his ass. Freddy better win. So yeah,
I was more of the Friday the 13th Jason guy, but it's cool. that's just where we came from.
But yeah, so
when did you get into Chucky?
Almost right after, and it was I had a friend in same area that I still live in. He's long since moved on, but yeah, he apparently it was on television. The ending of the first film, and we were surfing through channels, and he was like, "Oh, Child's Play is on," and it was like near the end of it. So when we turned it on, I had never seen it. I didn't even know what the hell that was, or the fact that there was a killer doll movie, and and so he puts it on, and we're literally like smack dab near the end of the movie, like Chucky's already burnt.
Okay.
And like he's punching holes through the walls and grabbing people's throats and trying to kill them. Like, kill him, kill him! I'm just like, what the hell is this shit? What is going on here? I like it. I'm liking what I'm seeing. What is this? And he's telling me, he's like, oh, it's Chucky. It's this doll. He's a killer. Like he's a killer doll. I'm like, killer doll? No shit. I've never seen this. A killer doll. That is original. And he's like, oh, Child's Play 2 is coming on right after it. Apparently it was a Chucky marathon.
Okay.
So yeah, Child's Play 2 came on right after Child's Play 1, and we watched the whole thing, and I was just like, this is amazing.
What was that drew it to you?
Just because it was interesting. Like, you got a doll here that is owning everything. Like, this, I don't know, I just thought it was so intriguing to see that.
A lot of it is based on the actor who...
Brad Dourif?
Yeah, Brad Dourif.
Yeah, Brad Dourif just brought this character to life in such a way, and I'm just like, this is so crazy. Mm-hmm. I mean, this little boy is getting stalked by this creature and just won't leave him alone. The third one didn't come on, but then I guess like I had like a bit of an obsession with Chucky right after that, and this was like when I was really young. Mm-hmm. And me and my mom went to like an old VHS store. Shows you how old I am. VHS stores. Yeah, like they had VHS tapes all the way, and I was just like, "Hey, Mom, can we look for a Child's Play movie?" And apparently, my mom wasn't really up to date. She wasn't. She didn't know what the hell Child's Play was. I mean, if you think of the name Child's Play,
I don't know. I'd be kind of wary of a movie named Child's Play. I'm like, really? What kind of play is these children doing?
So
yeah, but those were like in the 80s, early 90s. But then you fast forward to the Chucky films, The Seed of Chucky and The Bride of Chucky, and those were more self-parodies, I think.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was just really funny. Like she bought me Child's Play 2, completely unaware of what Child's Play is about. I guess she missed the whole Chucky thing. So yeah, eventually she figured it out. She regretted buying me the film after she saw it. She's like, "Oh my god!"
So all this background story leads up to Curse of Chucky.
So yeah,
which is the first Child's Play movie in a while, and its attempt to bring it back to its roots.
Yeah, now it's kind of hard to say whether it takes place after Seed of Chucky.
Well, first of all, I think it's BS this didn't at least get a movie.
Oh yeah, this movie even though it was low budget, this movie deserved a theater.
Look at all the other schlock that's out there. I mean, why not give it a little bit?
So this movie well deserved a theatrical release, and it's a shame that it didn't. Right. I guess people were just tired of seeing. I guess people by now saw Chucky as kind of a comedy and didn't really think it would be that serious.
Yeah, we talked about this when we were watching the film. To me, it's really hard to do horror nowadays.
Yeah, because you really do catch on with the timing.
You've kind of seen it all. You know, it's like when you watch something. Oh, she's coming up to this place. The music's really intense. She opens it. Nothing's happened. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Boom! There you go. You're really so you're already prepared.
Yeah. So for veterans like us,
there was only one real shock in this film that got me. We'll get that to the spoiler section.
Not yet. Not yet. Do not do that yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So
this is the non-spoiler section. What are your overall opinion of the film?
I think it's going to be underrated. It really was, even though it was low budget, and it shows that it was low budget because it's a pretty isolated movie. Mm-hmm. You really don't go all over the place. There's only 3 settings. It's kind of
it's also interesting too that the Child's Play this Chucky was released by Universal Pictures, so it kind of added that whole haunted house kind of feel to it.
It really did, because that was the majority of the film. There were literally only 3 settings throughout this entire film, and they used what the hell they could.
Honestly, one of my favorite genres in horror is the haunted house theme from movies like.
Yeah, for some reason, Paranormal Activity just doesn't get to you then.
Films like Haunted Mansion, Jew on the Grudge, the whole haunted house thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I just never been too deep into paranormal, but
well, that's what haunted is.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of
hypocritical.
No, I think the reason why is because the found footage. I'm not a fan.
Oh, okay, so you'd be okay with the Paranormal Activity thing if it wasn't.
Yeah, it's just the found footage style. Just kind of, I'm just gonna play down on it, you know.
I wonder if you'd like that new one. The one that just came to theaters that I saw.
Which one?
This is the newest one.
Oh, the one with the people.
Yes, Gene, the one with the people.
All I think about is people flying all over the place. So I'm sure that there's So yeah, I'm really to check it out.
So yeah, it's kind of like The Exorcist.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it's kind of added that whole haunted house feeling just with Chucky thrown in.
Yeah, so like I said, it's kind of hard to say whether it takes place after Seed of Chucky or after Child's Play 3, because for all of you that I'm not going to say spoiler warning for Seed of Chucky because it's been out for years. You should have seen it by now. In the ending of Seed of Chucky, Tiffany, the doll Tiffany, had possessed her real life self, Jennifer Tilly. So it's hard to say whether she's playing Tiffany, the one that before Chucky killed her in Child's Play 4, or is it Tiffany as Jennifer Tilly?
Right.
It's hard to say.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to because those two movies just really kind of went so far off the track. It's kind of hard to tie it all back in together. I guess it's possible if they work hard.
And of course, people would argue but why would Tiffany in Jennifer Tilly's body go back with Chucky after all the stuff that he did? Well, hard to believe she went back with him after what happened in Bride of Chucky. I guess when you live in that kind of abusive world where abusive women or abusive siblings just can't help but go back to that abusive partner.
Right.
So maybe but where's Glenn and where's Glinda? Do we want to know?
Well, to me, I can't say it was a great film. I can't say it was a good film. I can't say the series in a whole is great or good. But I will say this: it's entertaining. And is this a film that's going to win Academy Awards? Oh no, but it was never the intention. If you're a fan of the series, though, it is a return to form.
Yeah, I feel like this movie ultimately, in the long run, though returning to its roots, and for veterans, won't particularly be scary because veteran of horror, period, or anybody who's an expert in horror films knows the timing, knows when the scares are, can tell a formula that when it's been done. But for any newcomer to a horror, or if you were going to introduce a horror genre to a child, or to just I don't know, the same way we were, I guess it really would be a good start, because it's still suspenseful, it's still creepy to those who aren't aware of these things, because not everybody has seen the horror genre. But aside from that, I truly think that this film was made for the fans.
Oh yeah. This is definitely one of those films that's critic proof. It's not for critics, it's for people who enjoyed the series. And Chucky is Chucky. He's in full Chucky mode, and he's just as entertaining as he was in the other previous films.
And it's really kind of tough to say, because even in the long run, I don't want to say that this film went back to its roots to try to ultimately be scary. I think it just went back to its roots to try to take Chucky seriously and expand upon his cult.
I think it was also in a way to try to kind of close the circle, just in case it's the last of the Child's Play films. Just in case, it feels like it's a.
I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Right.
I mean, it's a good movie.
Yeah,
it's a great movie.
That's it. You're a fan of the series?
It's hard to go into the next part of details without spoiling it. So,
if you're a fan of the series, we definitely recommend it.
Even if you weren't, I'd still recommend it.
Yeah, it's worth a shot.
So, fan of the series, not fan of the series, all around it was a pretty great movie. So,
it was entertaining.
Yeah, it's entertaining. If you're looking for, it seems like nowadays the only kind of horror that really can get you kind of suspenseful or scared really are, and I hate to say it, the Paranormal Activity kind of movies. Not so much the found footage thing, but that sort of paranormal thing where the fear is what you can't see.
Right.
Like, whereas these days, because back in the 80s, Chucky, Jason, Michael, Freddy, these guys were scary because they always got you. These guys were horror monsters that when they were on the screen, you're like, oh no! But nowadays, these guys have become such classic horror faces that you love to see them on camera. You're rooting for them.
And that's kind of a problem. Is it really scary now when you're rooting for the monster? Because to me, that I don't really find these films scary because I end up rooting for the killer. I root for Jason.
Compare this movie.
Chucky. I really didn't care all that much about the people in this film. All I really cared about was Chucky.
Put this film on the rack with the Friday the 13th and the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. Mm-hmm. Does it stand up? Like where we weren't afraid of those movies. We went to see those movies because of those characters. And,
I just wanted to hang out with those characters.
And that's why we saw this one too.
I wonder how she's going to get it. I wonder how he's going to... That was very creative.
So, yeah, that's ultimately what the movie was for. It was for the fans who wanted to see Chucky back in action again and taken seriously, not a joke.
Right.
And we got what we wanted.
Yep.
And in the long run, it was successful.
Yes.
So...
There you go.
I guess that ends the spoiler-free section.
No, the spoiler section. Yay.
Oh, the spoiler section. Oh. If you don't plan to see this movie, you're stupid. Okay, no, this is the spoiler section. We, honest to God, do not recommend you watch this part until you find a way to see this movie. Because if you watch this part without seeing the movie and you are interested in seeing the movie, again, you're stupid. Because there's so much... There is a lot of fun in this movie. And you want to get it started?
Well, it starts off with our main protagonist, Nikki. What was her name again?
I don't know.
Nikki. Yeah. Well, she's in a wheelchair.
She's a cripple.
She's handicapped. She lives with her mother, who's kind of not all there. They get a package from a mysterious package, and and they open it up, and guess what's inside? The good guy.
Care Bears?
The good guy doll. Then later on, we hear a screaming. Nikki is going down, and she finds her mother stabbed dead on the floor. And so then, of course, you see the dolls just sitting alone there in the chair, and they have this nice little 360 sequence where they show the credits. Well, it looks like her mother committed suicide.
Yeah, let's talk about the house.
Yes, I was about to mention that. I would not want to live in a house like this.
Okay,
which is why I mentioned the haunted house kind of feel.
Yeah, it's more or less a mansion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not as big as a mansion, but it's bigger than a house.
It's one of those isolated places. Like, why would you live there? You're just asking for trouble if you're living in a place like this.
It really is. It is like the house on Haunted Hill. It's an isolated house in a
forest.
Yeah, a forest environment.
Mm-hmm.
Would you ever want to live there?
Perfect setting for but the setting is great, but it's like, why would you live there?
I mean, have you ever seen like paintings, like really beautiful paintings of like forests, like enchanted houses, like in the middle of forest?
Oh yeah.
Like in paintings, those look beautiful, but then when you look at them in real life, it's just like, it looks beautiful on paper.
Yeah.
But in reality, I can see so much happening here. It's like Hansel and Gretel. It's like, wow, there's this beautiful house in the middle of the forest. It looks so beautiful. And then when you get down to it, there's a witch living there.
Yeah.
so
well, the death of her mother brings her Nikki's sister and her family. Well, they have the sister, her husband, their nanny, and then their daughter. And so they go there to basically spend the night with her.
The father, the priest of the...
Oh, and I also forgot the priest, who also was tagged along.
So currently the house has like 6 live people.
Right.
Technically 7.
Yeah. And of course, since there's a child, she's the first one that finds the Chucky doll. Which is funny. It's always amazed me how stealthy the doll is. He's in the room 1 second, then you turn around and he's gone. It's like, man, Chucky must have been trained by Master Splinter because he knows the way of the ninja.
Well, then again, would you really be suspecting a doll to move around? Like, would you really be looking for it? I guess it's pretty easy for it to get around.
I asked you this though: was the doll? It seemed like the doll was used in a. There were several ways they used to bring the doll to life. They used midgets, small people, CGI. But did you see any of the CGI? Was any noticeable to you?
It's in the face.
In the face? Okay.
The CGI is in the face area, and there are some movements like the stairs when he's walking down the stairs.
Animatronics. Yeah.
Well, no, the CGI is when he's on the stairs.
Okay.
The animatronics was for his facial movements, and I believe it was when he was running with the wheelchair.
Okay.
So.
Well, immediately you see there's some tension between the sisters because one thing the older sister wants to do, she wants Nikki to move to like a board and care home, which makes sense because she's now in a wheelchair and she's living in this big house and her mother's no longer there. She's just basically living alone.
Yeah, which honestly is really dumb that she doesn't want to because.
Well, she's very. You can tell she's very proud.
Well, yeah, she's proud, but like when you're proud, you kind of have to see that there's a lot of potential problem here. I mean, because there's an elevator in this house that has to carry this girl from the bottom floor to the top floor. Mm-hmm. And as it's shown a lot throughout the film, without Chucky's influence, the cell phone signals are really bad because it's an isolated house around 4. So yeah, getting a signal for your phone is really bad. The internet is, for some reason, a lot more reliable than the phone. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and the power often can and does go out. Mm-hmm. So if she gets trapped in that elevator, she's dead. Yeah. Because nobody's coming to save her. Nobody knows she's there, and there's no way out.
Well, like I said, it's that mentality she has. She doesn't want to be. She's a very proud woman. She doesn't want to. She doesn't need any help. I can take care of myself. That's her attitude throughout the whole film.
Yeah. So we can see there's dark sides to both of it. Like, of course, the elder sister who wants her to move into the boarding home wants
to sell the house so she can get the money.
Yeah, she knows. It's definitely the greed part of it, and she's got her daughter who doesn't go to public school. She's homeschooled and all the rich.
My daughter will have to go to public school.
Oh my God, my daughter will have to go to public school. You wouldn't want her to do that with her. And then the priest is sitting right next to her. He's like, and she had her heart so set on going to that one institute.
Now, the movie really starts to get going when Nikki makes dinner for everyone. Nikki's there, and the girl is helping her, and Chucky's there, their little assistant. She's making dinner, and when when they leave, Chucky makes his first kill. And what does he do? What does he do?
He goes into the cupboard and pulls out the rat poison.
A box of rat poison.
Now, in reality, this is precisely why they've made rat poison, apparently, I guess, from what I've heard, is that rat poison, at least today, is not as lethal as it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I guess back then, you could take rat poison and it would kill you. Like, because even in movies, like, I'm not going to mention the movie, but, where rat poison could just kill people, but I guess they dumbed down rat poison to where it can't be fatal to people, but it can, in high doses, be a problem.
Then you have the dinner sequence. Well, I thought it was done pretty well, because it's a real slow build. I mean, you're watching these people eat, and you're just waiting. Who's going to catch it? You know?
Yeah,
they tease at first that it's the girl.
Yeah. Oh, Mommy, something doesn't taste right about this spaghetti.
Haha, eat it. Well, who ends up getting it?
The man of God.
The priest, yeah. He starts to sweating like, oh, there you go. And so as he says, oh, I have to go, he leaves. And of course he ends up getting in a car accident.
The worst kind of car accident ever. I mean, woof.
Yeah, he got taken out. Now, the next thing, too, is that it's also hinted that there's some tension going on between the older sister, her husband, and the nanny. And I saw this, and I said to Will, $20 says that the guy's banging the nanny. Okay, and $30 say the guy's banging the nanny.
And I'm just sitting there thinking, $30 richer.
Yeah. So then later on, the girl goes up to bed, and she can't find Chucky. So the nanny, this hot little thing going around, and she has meets up with the older sister in the kitchen. I'm like, oh, okay, we're gonna have a little cat fight here. Nope, they start making out. and I'm like,
$30, please. You were almost right.
I said $30 says he's banging. Okay, all right, she's banging her.
Oh, she's banging the nanny. Okay. Whoa.
That was the only real surprise that got me.
Didn't see that coming.
Yeah, I thought that was a hoot. So they eventually find Chuck, and Nikki decides to take her upstairs to, and that's when she first gets caught in the elevator. And of course it's raining and thundering. You have all the atmosphere going on, and you hear this during that whole elevator sequence. You hear like this knife cutting sound, this, you know. And then once they go up there, she hands the doll to the girl, and then the girl knows, "Hey, Aunt Nikki, you're bleeding." Well, because she's paralyzed and here she can't feel anything.
Yeah, so Chucky's just sitting on her lap, just like knifing away at her.
Yeah, at her knee. Yeah. Later on, this is a great sequence where the girl's alone in the room in her bedroom with Chucky. It's raining, it's pouring. She takes the bed sheets out and she like covers herself up with Chucky, and she's like, "Chucky, I'm scared." And then Chucky says, "You should be." In that great voice. You know, I don't think the Chucky character would have been nearly as memorable if it wasn't played by anyone else, but
Brad Dourif.
Yeah, he really made that character.
Now, is it me, or does Brad Dourif, I swear to God, look like Calypso from Twisted Metal?
You mentioned that when he has the long hair and the wig on, he looks like Calypso from the Twisted Metal.
Well, yeah, because when he's got the long hair on and he's got the suit, swear to God, he looks like Calypso from the new Twisted Metal.
Mm-hmm.
The weakness gives me strength.
Well, the next one to get it is the nanny. The nanny.
Oh, this is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the nanny, Jill.
The nanny is sleeping in the bedroom with the little girl. There's like twin beds. And
she
takes out her laptop, and the sister has her laptop while her husband's sleeping, and they're like blowing kissy faces at each other
through the webcams, and it's like, your husband's right there, and God forbid he turned his head, and then she's waving at her, and then she looks at her wedding ring and takes it off. Like, oh my Lord,
that's funny.
Give me a break. I'm not a cheater, but I think that's way too risky. I'm not gonna have my wife sleeping right next to me and then I'm talking to a boyfriend on the laptop, and we're both jerking off to each other right in front of each other on the webcams. God forbid she tilt her head this way. I mean, come on. How risky is that crap?
So these aren't exactly the most... See, that's another thing about these films, that these people are not exactly the most morally sound folks in the world, so you're not exactly sad when they go. So, anyway, there was like a leak from the roof, and that was being caught, and the water was being caught by a bucket, so Chucky just kicks the bucket over and electrocutes her because the plug was located on the floor.
Yeah, electrocutes Jill.
That was plugged into the...
Jill, the nanny.
Yeah, into the floor from the laptop. The sister goes around looking... Well, that's when when the sister gets up, that's when the husband lets her on that he knows what's going on.
I was like, oh yeah, she's just like, I need to go and check our daughter.
Are you checking on the daughter or the nanny?
Like, what are you insinuating? I see the way you look at her. Oh no. He's just like, who needs you more, our daughter or Jill?
Right.
And she's like, don't try to play me into your sick fantasy. I see the way you look at her, and he's just like, ditto.
Well, that's when he also points out that he put a camera inside of a Chuck.
Yep.
So
that Chucky apparently didn't know about.
Maybe he did. I don't know. He just didn't care. But she finds the doll. During this time, Nika is like doing research, and that's when she finds out about the history of...
Oh yeah, because
she made a call, and she found out that the doll was sent from like an evidence locker or something.
Yeah, she wasn't sure if it was an evidence locker because she claims that the signal was really bad.
Right.
So it sounded like evidence locker, so she decided to look up some information upon.
So she's going through like all the murders from the first 3 films that were like unsolved.
And you literally see on her laptop it mentions like the kills or the unsolved mysteries, like unsolved Chicago murder, like unsolved second Chicago murder in suburb area, and the third one is unsolved military base murders.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Charles went to... Okay.
You see a picture of Andy.
Yeah, young Andy Barkley, 6 years old.
It was the doll, I tell you! It was the doll!
The doll did it, I told you. I told you, he did it.
So she goes, there's a big misunderstanding, the sisters have a big fight, the sister goes upstairs to look for Alice, who's the name of the daughter.
The daughter is missing.
And she's the next one to go. She gets a nice little blade right through the eye.
Oh, but this is where it shows her peeling off Chucky's facial...
Makeup.
Yeah, makeup.
And you see the old Chucky.
Yeah, you see the old Chucky with the scars and the eye burns and everything. And this is where I say it takes place after Seated Chucky, because Tiffany or Jennifer Tilly is an actor. She would have access to those byproducts.
That's true.
Like facials and all of that plastic stuff to make yourself like... Yeah, she would. I guess.
Yeah.
So... Yeah, it makes sense that it would. As for where Glenn and Glenda are, who cares?
Okay. And so she gets during that whole time the power is out, so Nikki has to try to climb up the stairs, where it just tries basically just drags herself up the stairs because she finds out that there's something going on with the doll. The doll's a killer. She opens the attic door, comes out, and then the eyeball falls down.
Oh yeah,
followed by the sister.
Yeah, Chucky. He comes to life in front of the older sister.
He's
just like, you have your mother's eyes, and they were always too close together. And like stabs her right in the eye, and then you see him throw the eye down the stairs, and damn, that's dirty.
Then by the way, this whole time the husband was just like sleeping with these like earplugs in his which was really
didn't give a damn.
He's got his Murgo on and he's sleeping. She finally gets him up. He takes her downstairs into the garage. He's looking for Alice. Chucky's down there, and he basically eats the keys from the car to keep him from leaving. And that's when and she also at that time picks up an axe and busts up the door. And when he comes down there and wrestles the axe away, that's when he starts suspecting Nikki that she did that.
The husband. He comes down and fights over the axe with Nikki, and he thinks that she's the one that's been doing.
And because of the stress, because she's paralyzed, she starts to have a heart attack.
Yeah, because at this point, the husband hasn't seen Chucky do anything.
Right, he hadn't seen Chucky at all. So she falls unconscious, but I guess she injects her with this medicine right below her rib because she wants to know where the daughter is. And so he's got her all tied up to the chair up in the bedroom. He's like, "Where's my daughter? You know, I have evidence."
Bring me back my daughter.
He puts the laptop on.
She's like, "I got proof that the doll is alive. I've got proof too, and I'm going to show you right now that you're crazy." And
now, here's the thing. Here he opens the laptop, and you see him. "Hi, honey, I'm putting this on Radio Shack," and he puts it on the doll. And then you go through all the footage of the doll. And at this point, I think he thinks, "Oh, this is her, like with the doll and doing all this stuff." And then she sees like the doll, like Alice in like a room. It's like, but how would you know, that I'm here? That will they be able to find me something? And he's like, "Just keep your mouth shut." And then he closed the door. And he actually sees the doll's hand close the door. He's like, "What?" And then he's recording faster. And then he goes to live footage, and the live footage is right behind Nikki, who's in the wheelchair. And it's getting closer to the wheelchair, and it's like...
What the hell am I looking at?
What the hell? Wow, it's getting closer to him. I thought that was great.
What the hell am I looking at? When does this happen in the movie?
Right now.
Now, sir, you're looking at now. Go back to then. I can't. Why? We missed it. He killed it.
Yeah. So Chucky takes him out. And then,
wait. We can't just say he takes him out. We got to say how he takes him out.
Go ahead.
Okay, so he sneaks up on the dude. Weird. And he pushes the wheelchair, causing this guy to do a barrel roll front flip on his back, paralyzing him. And, well, let's just say he got axed out of the movie.
Yeah.
And Chucky picks up the nearby axe, and he looks at Nikki, who's tied up with the chair. He's like, "I'll be right with you in a minute." And then he... Remember that scene from The Grudge when Yoko walks in that place, and you see like she's missing her whole lower jaw? Nah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That happens.
Yeah. So they finally have their first confrontation, Nikki and Chucky. Nikki beheads him, able to get the axe away and beheads him.
Oh yeah, because Chucky he plants the axe
into like
in her leg, which she can't feel. She's just like, "Now it's my turn." Boom! Bit slaps him across the floor.
And you knew it wasn't over. Yeah, like, he ain't going down that easy.
And then she pulls the axe out of her leg, and then she manages to smack his head off his shoulders, and now Chucky's dead. His head's off. His head's on the other side of the room. His body's lying on the floor, and she patches herself up. And I'm just like, this better not be the end.
Oh, it's not. He puts his head back on, and he pushes the wheelchair, and she falls off the second floor onto the floor.
Long fall.
Long fall, yeah. And then when he goes down there, that's when he tells the backstory of why he's after the family.
Your mother didn't mention me. I'm an old friend of the family.
When her mother was pregnant with Nikki and their sister was a child, he was a friend of her father. And you don't see it, but it's implied that he took the father out, or at least killed him, so he can have her family, or have that family. Well, the mother ends up calling the cops, and before he goes, he takes his weapon he had in the first film and stabbed her, so that's the reason why Nikki's is
crippled.
Yeah, crippled.
And then after that scene, it shows how he ran into the toy store with...
connection. So it happens right before the beginning of the show.
And how Eddie Caputo ditched him. Mm-hmm. Like, "I'll get you, Eddie!"
Yeah. Shoot. And then they have the big showdown between Nikki and Chucky at the end.
And this is one thing that they were trying to hammer in the film early on, and in that part was completion anxiety that males get.
Yeah.
To explain why Chucky was going after these past victims.
Mm-hmm.
Was apparently, I guess they needed an excuse, and I buy it. It's completion anxiety, which is a disorder that males get when they feel like when they feel like they need to complete something.
Mm-hmm.
So,
they something like that for sure.
Sure.
They're probably wrong.
Maybe, so I guess that's why Chucky's going after all these past victims.
Mm-hmm.
And so the power comes back on, and Chucky chases her down with a knife into the elevator.
And there was one glitch in the film where she's supposed to be, have no feeling below her legs, but when she's crawling into the elevator, all of a sudden she curls her knees up. So the elevator, I saw that.
Oh.
You said, yeah.
Like, it hurt.
The power of God healed me. There you go.
Are you sure she didn't go?
Maybe she did. I have to watch it again to see if she actually. Maybe she did. Maybe she pulled her arm and and jerked. But anyway.
Chucky's cutting up her hands. She's trying to grab the knife away from him.
She's able to get the knife away, and she grabs a hold of it. He opens the door like, you want a plain motherfucker? And here we go.
And so he lands on top of the knife. Stuffing goes everywhere. By the way, he doesn't bleed anymore. Mm-hmm. Weird. And then that's when, out of nowhere, a cop comes to the front door and hears her scream. And he busts through the door, and Chucky's not anywhere near the elevator. And you see Nikki is just sitting there.
Well, first he looks up, and then he sees the sister with his lying dead on the floor with his eye missing. Then she looks down at Nikki, who's covered in blood, and she has a knife. And it's like, I know this looks bad. But hear me out.
The doll did it.
The doll did it.
And you see,
and she gets found guilty and thrown into a criminally insane asylum.
Yeah, like Chucky's just sitting across the room.
Yeah, I can see you Chucky with his little troll face.
It goes to the court scene where apparently she's been
declared legally insane. And
legally incompetent.
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
going through the asylum with the criminally insane. Yeah.
And then it's going by all the evidence, the rat poison, the knife, the axe, and then Chucky just sitting there.
I'm still alive!
Oh yeah, when they're rolling her out and past Chucky, she's just like, I'm still alive, you motherfucker. I'm still alive! Still alive! You didn't get me, motherfucker! I'm still living! And so the cop, he just looks at the doll like, I don't get it. And then he bags up the doll and goes into his police car, and you kind of think he has good intentions, like maybe he's going to burn the doll or lock it up. And then he gets on the phone, and he's like, okay, I got the doll. You got my money? All right, good. Click.
Hangs it up, then what?
And then he sees the doll breathing. He's like... He reaches over, and then a familiar face comes out of nowhere and just slits the guy's throat.
From the backseat.
Yeah, from the backseat. And she's like, they never learn. And
it's Jennifer Tilly.
She almost ruined this for me.
Why?
Because I was like, no. We were taking this movie so seriously. Do not screw this up, Jennifer Tilly.
She didn't. She didn't. I'm glad she was, because she is big part of the Chucky mythology.
Now.
Yeah.
She scared me. I'm like, do not screw this up. This is not a comedy. This is not a parody. We've been taking this movie seriously. Do not screw this up.
And she didn't.
She didn't. She's just like, so, who's next? Mm-hmm. And she puts him in another box ready to go, and she's shipping him off somewhere, and the conversation that her and the first, oh my god, the shipper were having was pretty funny.
Pretty funny, yeah.
It's just like, is the package fragile? Surprisingly not. That's it.
Still looks good too, by the way.
She does.
Still looks good.
It's like, would you like to get like insurance on the package? It protects you and the recipient. Oh, I doubt that.
So he gets shipped off to Alice, who is now living with
her other
grandmother. And he sees she's like, Chucky, you find me. I told you I would.
I told you I'd find you. We're friends to the end, Alice. Where's my grandma? She's in the cellar. What's she doing down there? Nothing.
Mom and Dad are dead, and Aunt Nikki killed them. But hey, we're friends to the end.
And now it's time to play a game. Hide and seek? Better. Hide the soul. And guess what? You're going to love this. You're it.
Why am I always it?
Because you're the last one anyone would ever suspect. Now close your eyes. Ade Dewey Dembella.
And then it ends. So it kind of ends right there. So, well, first of all, they had to do one last cheap scare.
Actually, call this a cheap scare, but this actually was a brilliant setup for the extra ending because it kind of makes you wonder. He's doing the Dembella spell on the girl, which is to transfer his soul. Why would he still be in the doll if he succeeded?
That was another thing too.
And the reason why the grandmother came out for the jump scare is because that was the foil.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she came out, she foiled the plan and forced Chucky to kill the girl and kill the grandmother, and she's like, well, screw this.
Oh, okay.
So, back to Tiffany. And so, so that was the ending of the movie until...
After the credits.
Stay for the credits. Long credits, but stay for them.
It's one of the traditions nowadays, is that, there's a last-minute scene after the credits.
Yeah, which apparently nobody misses, like the Avengers. Nobody stayed and saw it.
Mm.
Yeah, so stay after the credits. I'm telling you this as if it was in theaters.
Fast forward to the end.
Yeah, fast forward your DVD or Blu-ray.
You see this guy, it happens 6 months later, you see this guy, he's getting another package, and as soon as you see him, I kind of knew instantly who it was.
Yeah, like there's a delivery to his door, he answers the door, he's like, oh, hello. He's like, you got a package, sir, you might have won something. I doubt it. Mm-hmm. So he signs for the package, and then he walks upstairs, and then he puts the package on the table, and then the phone rings, and you see there's Woody Woodpecker cartoons playing in the background, which is kind of a hint.
And he's talking to who?
He's like, oh, hi, Mom.
And his mom.
Would it kill you to get her back into one of these movies? She hasn't been in these movies since the first one. Could we at least, I don't know.
And you're looking at the pictures, and you see the pictures of the military camp and him as a kid.
Yeah, like you see Andy.
It's Andy, that's who it is.
Yeah, you see the picture of Andy and his mom. So yeah, it's Andy. He's all grown up.
Yeah, then you see, of course, the blade.
Yeah, the blade comes out of the box and it's cutting its way through the box. I'm like, oh, that's funny.
Yeah, and then you see Chucky get up and he's like cracking his neck and he turns around.
And he's just like, oh yeah, I haven't messed with Andy since the 80s. This is gonna be good. So he's just like, he's looking at the camera like.
Yeah, he turns his head.
He turns his head and then
like. Play with this.
Play with this.
And I can see what Andy was doing. Like, you see him, like, on the phone, and then you see the box, and I just picture Andy doing this. Yeah, Mom. Yeah, that's great, Mom. Yeah, okay. Hopefully I'll see you soon, okay? All right, Mom. Yeah. Love you too, Mom. Bye. Play with this.
Yeah, Chucky's just like,
Play with this.
Andy! 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 Boom! And then the movie ends. Best ending ever. Andy! Andy! You guys ever seen Pee-wee's Big Adventure?
Yeah.
Like, Andy! Andy!
Andy! It's their best Andy ever. So it was an entertaining film. I actually liked it more now that we were talking about it because it really was a fun film to watch.
Yeah, so all in all, The Curse of Chucky was a great film. It was a huge step up. I mean, for low budget, for low budget.
And when we say great, we have to quantify that. Again, this film had a purpose, and it was for the fans. And on that objective, it was, to me, there's many different levels of great.
Okay.
You know, is this like, Ben-Hur? No, but it doesn't have to be. It had a goal and accomplished the heck out of it.
Served its purpose.
Absolutely.
It took itself seriously. It was far greater than The Bride of Chucky. It was far greater than, not to say The Bride of Chucky and Seed of Chucky didn't have their moments, but they were self-aware movies that were just like, well,
let's just go with it. That was like the late 90s. It was kind of making fun of the 80s.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of talking about...
Now we're kind of getting back to that whole, we look more at the classics or the retros with more, more of a happy kind of, instead of making fun of it, we want to pay more homage to it, or at least go back to what's old is new again, basically.
Yeah, so Curse of Chucky, it was all around wonderful. It's worthy of being in your collection. Pick it up when it comes out.
If you want a fun movie, just watching Chucky do his thing, this is it. If you want the meaning of life, go somewhere else. But if you just want to see a killer doll cracking jokes and slashing people in creative ways, there you go.
So yeah, Curse of Chucky.
We recommend it.
Highly recommend it. Definitely a lot of fun.